Hello, welcome to tonight's educational podcast. We have Lauren Soetaert here, and we will be talking about the age gap this evening. The term age gap is referred to a significant or present disparity in academic performance or educational attainment between different groups of students, such as white students and minorities, or, for example, students with higher and lower income households.
Exactly, Masha. So, generally speaking, achievement gap refers to the outputs, the unequal or inequitable distribution of educational results and the benefits from them. So, achievement gaps are, in a more simpler words for our listeners out there, defined by their consistency and persistence. So, it is always going to be very equal and consistent relationship that is going on in the school. It will not just be an up and down thing. It's very consistent in order for it to be considered part of the achievement gap and noticed.
Okay, do you have any examples you can think of so that way we can relate it more to our everyday lives or something that we've seen maybe in the news?
Yeah, definitely. One example I can think of would be our white students and our Asian American students. They are definitely tested higher, typically more commonly have higher test scores as compared to maybe our Hispanic culture or African American culture. So not saying that every African American student is going to test lower than our white students or Asian American students or vice versa, but it's just the typical achievement gap notice. And like I said, it has to be consistent and persistent in a school. So that is how we have decided that as one of the main ones.
Yeah, I was reading an article recently published by Richard Baymar, and he was talking about the California schools and how they were trying to narrow the achievement gap, and they came up with this formula called LCFF, and it was approved in 2013, and it gave schools more funding with, in return, that the states wanted more accountability and they wanted parents more engaged on a local level, which I thought was great. And the funding also really targeted those students with the lower income families that maybe needed that extra support.
Exactly. So, for example, leading off of what you said, in 2001, the reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, today it's commonly known as the No Child Left Behind Act. This act requires schools and states to collect and report student achievement data for multiple student subgroups, among many other provisions. So that is definitely kind of leading into what California has done and is taking charge of.
Right. So as a teacher, let's bring this down on a personal level. How do you help close the gap in your own classroom?
So in my classroom, if I had to give you maybe three main things that I would do, that I do try to do in an everyday educational setting, is I provide a very regular curriculum.
Okay.
I increase instructional time for maybe those students who do need it. That is a big part in today's society, as everything is so time-based. And some students just don't work as quickly as others. So I definitely try to increase the instructional time.
Okay.
And then motivating and engaging. The students come to school sometimes with hard home lives and they don't have that motivation at home. So sometimes the only motivation they get or engaging in school subjects is at school.
Right. And when you said regular curriculum, could you expand on that so that way our listeners really know what that means, because I feel like it could go into different directions.
Yeah, definitely. So it is proven that if you hold children at higher standards, they will perform at higher standards. So an ample amount of evidence shows that almost all students can achieve at high levels if they are taught at high levels. So I have high expectations for my students in my class, where though just because I have high standards doesn't necessarily mean that...
Yeah, you want to make it so they can actually achieve those. You don't want to make it so high where...
Yes, I try to keep the curriculum features balanced in instruction, and I emphasize on the basic skills for increasing the comprehension in the classroom.
Very good. Well, thank you for listening. We will be back next week, and we will be focusing on more facts about the age gap with other speakers. So we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.